Don't blink. It's your blink. Welcome to our show. Hope you're doing well. Guys are having a wonderful day on this 15th May 2025. It's a busy morning. You can see we're filming outside. We're filming the two towers. We're gonna be uploading content because I'm gonna see my father in about 40 minutes. So I have a lot to do. I want to do three videos. The first video of the day is a love letter to Mother's Day. Last year we reacted to Mother's Day, which was awesome. This year we're doing a shout out for the mothers, but also the duality of how it feels to be a mother's boy. You see, it's gonna be such a weird video to do, but it's gonna be in my style, so you're used to things not being here. We have a little alfalfa over here. Don't know why. So mothers, you guys probably noticed, you guys probably understood I was a mama's boy growing up. My father was the strict father. My mom was the cool parents. My mom also was very, very generous and very easygoing. She wasn't. She was involved in my life a lot, but she wasn't as strict as my father. And my father, when I was younger, he was so strict that I was afraid of him. So my mom was this figure of peace, of quietness, of it's there's good parents out there. And I mentioned my mom a lot. You guys by now know my mom, and you guys know that I had some hard feelings towards her because um I feel like I was enabled a lot, and long short term it was really fun, but long term, I think there's things that happened that wasn't good. Not in a sense of something terrible happened, but in a sense of there was lesson that I was supposed to learn that I didn't learn. However, I think for it is funny because we'll see a lot of boy we see a lot of boys being mama's boy, and we see a lot of girls being daddy's daughter, right? And I don't know why that is. I don't know what that is. I think it's a duality. Um, I think it's the possible thought of romance and love. The first love that I had in my life was my mom. I was in love with my mom. I said, one day I'm gonna be marrying my mom. Now this is weird, but again, I was three, so chill. Um, but ultimately speaking, again as a parent, my mom was the calmest, and I think as a man, I'm a bit self-conscious. I'm a bit intimidated by a woman as a general because for a baby, there's an automatic connection with the mom. There's an automatic connection with, because she's carrying you, she's feeding you for the night, for the first, I don't know how long, but you're a mama. So doesn't matter what you are. Your mama are a, you just recognize a mom, right? There's even a study that um, that there's a study that realized that most baby said that at first because they still feel part of the mom. So when they're seeing the mom, they're seeing this as a one person, them and the mom, and they're seeing that as this almost stranger. So it's not a good thing. So yes, so you see the mom and you see how natural it is, even in the animal kingdom. And yes, we're not animals. I understand that, but it's still something that is. Oh shit! I'm not recording. See, see, see the vorbesh. Not recording. Swear to God I was. Swear to God I was. My phone is fucking up. My tablet's fucking up. It's okay. We didn't miss that much. We missed it a little bit, but it's okay. It broke. It's okay. As long as it's working now, I don't mind. Do you see the chat? Of course of course it's intimidating. You know that no matter how hard you try, you don't you're not gonna be able to compete. Now, ultimately speaking, the mentality of thinking that you have to compete as a kid is nonsensical because you're like, okay, well, I hope I have a good mom and I want a good mom for my kid. My kid deserves a good mom. But at the same time, it is kind of nonsensical because you're like, yeah, but I want my kid to also love me. It's such a weird thing for a dad. See, there's this mentality of, oh well, the mom, she's a natural, the dad, you know. You often hear people say every man can make a child. Not every man can be a dad. He's a dad that stepped up. You often hear about that, but at the same time, it's It's very intimidating. I feel like if you have one of the good parents, right? Um, there's also this. There's also my mom is more okay with being filmed than my father. So people are like, "Yo, you have an amazing mom." And when I'm gonna post a video with my mom, people are like, "Oh, yo, she's so cool. You have such a nice mom," and I do, but it's just the fact that you guys don't see my father, and it's not a competition, right? They're both different. They both have a different. They both have a parenting style that is different, right? It's just a bit of a in this modern day. It's just a bit of a it's a feeling of inferiority. I think this is insecurity. I think it's actually the good feeling. I think it's the right expression. So with the insecurity, it's a bit more. You're gonna be doing this. So sorry guys for the word. We skipped some content. We just did some mission. It's not a big deal. Not a lot happened. We are rank one when it comes to the tournament, which is great. Um, see now it's lagging. It's lagging. What I'm gonna do. I'm gonna skip this and I'm gonna redo it. You're recording, which is great. Okay. However, I have an amazing mom, and it is Mother's Day, so let's embrace her. Let's tell her thank you for what she's doing. My mom is a picture perfect of hard work. You see, my mom is a picture perfect of hard work, and it doesn't really work. See, with my father was planning, right? He was planning, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna focus on myself, and my mom, guys, this is a complex video to make. It's a good video to make also. My dad was more so a focus on myself and then I'll achieve things. And then my father doesn't need to work, right? He has his pension, he has his house. Versus my mom, who still has to work because she has to pay back the condos, right? And she's helping people, right? But then, that's my mom. And that is, I feel like picture perfect mom. My mom, I also had harsh feelings toward her. I also had some I wouldn't say hatred, but definitely some resentment toward my mom because I didn't know who she was. She didn't share herself. She kept herself away, not from me, but in general. We'll talk about herself, right? But I feel like that this is a mom. I'm seeing the picture, this meme where the mom is cooking and cooking and cooking, and she'll feed everybody, and then when it's her turn, she'll eat leftover in the corner, right? My mom is a picture perfect of self-sacrifices. And even at the core of thing, being a mom is that I'm part of her flesh. Yes, I came from a sperm, but that was my mother's tummy for 9 months. I was breastfed, which explains a lot. My mom, there's more that biologically speaking, there's more of my mom in me than my father, and that's normal. And that's the self-sacrifices. My mom was willing to carry this 6.6 kilos baby. I was a fat kid. I was a fat baby. I was the heaviest baby in the maternity ward. Also, my mom, she suffered a lot because, see, and that I'm not gonna agree with myself. I'm gonna have to put it in a comma. My father and my mom, they had this baby before me, which was my sister, right? The one that she died. And see, with my mom, she carried a child, so she knew she had a physical connection with the baby. My father had an emotional connection with the baby. Of course, he was getting used to the idea of becoming a father. He was excited to become a father. He was excited to the thought of welcoming a daughter. Right? He was a dad, a girl's dad. And then all of a sudden he didn't. And my mom, and both were involved psychologically, but my mom, it was physically. And my mom, she suffered a lot, and I don't know why. It's funny because I went out this morning because the weather wasn't really nice. I wanted to get the sunrise, so I went out this morning. And you know, I saw this woman walking, and she was a bit older. And for some reason, she was small. She was small. I think that's why. Physically speaking, she was kind of similar to my mom. I thought about my mom, and it's weird because there's often women that I think, oh, I get this motherly vibe from her, but I don't get that from a man. I don't get fatherly vibe from men. There are people that have been fatherly towards me, but more so in a mentorship kind of way, right? And even as a figure of authority, as a kid, I would respect men more because I was like, okay, well, I have to be a man. I have to understand how to be a man. So to understand that, I have to follow man. But yeah, my mom, and I could tell you guys how much I love her and how much she sacrifices for me. And I could tell her how kind she is to everybody. I could tell her how loved she is from everybody. She works in a shopping center, and everybody knows her. Everybody's like, hey, and then she's like, oh, this is my son, and she knows name, and I'm like, wow, you're popular, ma. See, that's what happened when you're nice, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right, and it just speaks volumes, you know. It's not if you want to see if somebody is nice, if somebody is kind, look at how they treat other people and how they're treated. If somebody has is being growled at by dogs or by animals and are aggressive toward a person, he's not a good person because they pick up on that. Second thing is if this person doesn't have any friends or the friends, you can tell that they're not good friends, then you have to ask yourself the question, why doesn't he have more friends? Why are they better quality, right? With my mom, I know that she's nice, but even if I didn't know her, I would say, well, this person is really loved by most people. Either at the building that she works in, which is a huge building, she must be a good person, right? My mom, I could tell you all that. I could tell you more. I could tell you how much she taught me growing up. I could tell you how happy I am that we have a better relationship because we're more talkative toward each other. I could tell you so much about my mom and how happy I am to be her son, right? And I could even tell you that out of the lottery of mom, I hit big. I hit the jackpot, right? But I think it's also important to look at the negative and look at how much she sacrifices and how much she still sacrifices and how much she still pulls through. You know, my mom, she doesn't have it easy. You know, she's working hard, and I feel like there's still this motherly instinct. My mom, I have to fight with her so she doesn't help me. You know, and it's part of her who she is. It's part of the person that she is. You know, it's her nature. She's a very giving person, and although sometimes she is putting herself second, still proud to call her my mom. I love my mom. Wonderful human being. My mom also. It's funny because as a kid I didn't have a lot of self love and self respect, right? But one of the only thing that I actually like about myself was my sense of humor. And my father is gonna be liking events. I'm gonna tell him something happened, he's gonna laugh, right? I'm gonna tell him a joke, he's not gonna laugh. My mom, before I even start telling the joke, she laughs, and she's always been like that. She's always been so supportive, you know? When I started making content, my father called it a waste of time. My mom would ask me how she can help out. My mom would bring me food, and she would watch the video to bring me food that I didn't taste yet. My mom is the picture perfect mom, the picture perfect self-sacrifices. The picture perfect my pup before me. And I'm grateful for that. I think a lot of the emotion that I was negative, like the resentment, the hard feelings, you know, there were a lot about not understanding why she puts herself first. But at the same time, it's hard for me to put myself seconds because she put me first my whole life. So when you're constantly being put first, it's hard to think about yourself as put second. But yeah, I have an amazing mom. And the thing with my mom is we fought, of course, but she's always been an amazing mom. There was not a moment where she did something that she didn't apologize for, or she did something that was like, okay, well, that's not a good mom. And I'm super happy about that. I'm super grateful about that. See, I'm always comparing my parents, and there's a reason for that. They're so different. See, my mom, my father, they both kicked me out. My mom, she still apologized that day. And my father still seek an apology to this day. So they're very different people. My mom self-sacrifices, my father moving forward. And from the first glance, I think my father is stronger, but my mom is stronger because it takes a lot more to self-sacrifices than just to enjoy life, right? My mom, her biggest dream is to go back to Egypt, you know, just to visit. It's such a simple thing. I'm gonna give it to her, you know. She's a great mom. I'm extremely lucky that I have her. But also of the moms, you see, as a kid, you think about your mom. It's okay, well, I have a good mom. As an adult, you look at teachers, and it's like, you know what? She's a good mom. But then as a bigger adult, or when you get older and you get more mature, You're starting having potential date with moms. And I feel like that's how you understand how much it is, you know? Single mom, they have it hard, right? This is a Mother's Day, a post. So yeah, and you look at it and you say, fuck, it's not easy being a mom. Look at Animal Kingdom, how sometimes the father's not even allowed close to their puppies. Right? Yeah. Love my mom.